Welcome back to Salt, Sauna. You just practicing like your diaphragm control.
I'm trying to keep it with some panache, some je ne sais quoi.
So extra. Well, okay, we're not in the studio. Thank you for Halo Heat Sauna Studios allowing us to be ridiculous in the sauna for the last 3 episodes, but we're back. We're back in our regularly scheduled programming location. So no worries about heat and electronics.
Yes. The salt in this.
Yeah.
So no disclaimers.
No disclaimers this time.
No disclaimers.
Other than it's all opinion.
Yes.
This is an opinion show.
Okay.
Okay, so shall we do our tea?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can't get enough of it.
Wait, don't be.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I'm like I had like this thought that I was gonna like spill the tea, not in the good way that we say spill the tea.
That's good.
But I was like, I don't know why. I was like freaking out today that I thought I was gonna do that. So I'm glad I did not.
Looks
okay.
Awesome.
All right. Cheers.
First gotta smell it. Catch the
It's very minty today. Okay. So what are we talking about, sir?
Okay. So today I thought it'd be interesting to talk about, for our entrepreneurs and for our business execs and alike, right? Wellness for the entrepreneur and the executive.
Wellness for the entrepreneur and executive.
Yes.
Okay.
And to kind of further like define it, I guess, put some framework around it. What's some of the challenges we both have?
Okay.
You know, had those titles and roles.
So this is another confessional. We're doing confessional basically.
Possibly. And then what lessons have we learned?
Okay.
Right. And probably what could we have done better, and how are we actually now doing better in that space?
Okay.
So it's kind of some layers to it, but it also still frames the conversation.
Okay.
You jump in wherever you would like.
Oh, I have to start?
Hey, I posed the question.
Okay, so
you should have posed the topic.
Anywho. Okay, so let me think. So wellness for anybody that's just joining us now, corporate side of things, healthcare corporate, but gym, fitness, corporate, entrepreneur. Yeah. So that's the framework that we're going with. He's always been an entrepreneur. I dabbled in it until now. I'm fully in it, yes. But I was former corporate. So I'll come from the. You know what?
What?
I know. So I just totally like deviated, but
okay.
I did a speech the other day with Naperville, and it was around wellness and leadership and how wellness impacts your ability as a leader and how you're showing up, and then how your team kind of will follow suit.
Okay.
So as we're talking,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So as we're talking about this, I think one of the key points, and it was so interesting because there was a guy there that when he read what I was going to be speaking on, he confessed, and to me that he initially didn't want to even hear what I was going to say, and he didn't want to believe it. He was just like, corporate wellness, blah 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 blah. And he told me,
same old spiel, same old trope.
He told me this. He was like, "You're not going to tell me anything new." And he said, but by the end of my discussion, he was like, "You sold me." And I think part of that is because we don't really have that moment where we take that step back and we understand the why we should be doing these things. So I think from the in business, in corporate side of things, really maintaining a regimen of self-care, maintaining our own personal wellness really allows us to show up for our teams.
Okay.
And be an effective leader. Because when you don't get sleep, you're going to be crotchety and mean. When you're, not eating the right things, you're going to be crotchety and mean. When you haven't had that moment of pause, you will burn out, which then again means you're going to be crotchety and mean. And if you want to be crotchety and mean and not have a good team, okay, great, good on you. But when you're actually showing up in your best form, you get more things done, you're more productive, your team is more engaged because they see, how you're showing up, and it makes for a better boss.
I hear you. I want to jump in on this slightly, but kind of turn it a little bit.
Okay.
So one of the things I actually want to touch on about being an entrepreneur, and taking care of yourself and focus on wellness is the fact that we often think of it only in a sense of either better team, or it will allow you to move from startup to being more successful, and the bust, and the boom of it all, of that transition, right? It ace with your growth and overall, whether you be a better boss or you set an example for your team and all of that. I want to touch on from the point of why is it so important when you're successful, right? Because one of the challenges that we don't touch on about even when you're successful, and let me define successful. Successful is that, like, your business is going well. You're making, the money, and you're starting hitting your goals, and you're moving, right, progressively more on that track. You're no longer in that, I'm just starting out, I'm scrappy, or I'm trying to build, or I'm trying to recover from a setback, but like I am clicking and booming. And that's often sometimes is one of the most demanding seasons as an entrepreneur as well. Because one, the biggest angst is, right? You remember, one, as an entrepreneur, you remember the lean times. So you kind of feel ashamed, guilty, or reluctant to devote some time to yourself, because you feel like if you take your foot off the gas, if you don't have your both hands on the steering wheel of your business, right, that somehow it's going to roll into a ditch. Right? That person that, like, yes, I remember I built it from nothing and made it to something. But how many people do we know, whether they were, climbed up to the point of executives, or and next thing you know, they help start declining and deteriorating and falling apart, right?
Which literally, that's kind of what happened with me.
Yes. And so I kind of want to touch on a little bit of that, and why even in that season, right, doing what you need to do so you can make space. Wellness, in the sense, I think there's one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs in that successful season, or executives in that successful season, really have to focus on and get the mental health that they need. Big chunk of that game is more cerebral than physical. In most cases, when you're in that very highly prosperous season. And so taking the time to work on the mental, so that you, one, if you did your business well and understand that you're not the sole pillar and built a team, it won't fall apart just because you take a couple of hours out of your day, right? Or several hours out of your week to focus on you. Secondly, that, right? You the money and the success of your business is super, super, super important. But when your health and poor health rear its ugly head, it halts all of that. You have dealt with it. I have dealt with it. When your health, and that between your mental too, so sometimes, like for me, I dealt with a lot of moments and seasons where my nerves got to me.
Mm-hmm.
Psychologically, I was going through some things, you know what I'm saying? And dealing with children, a failed marriage, like all these sorts of things all started compounding. You like, oh my God, I'm starting to get anxious, anxiety. Like all this stuff started happening. It was like, I'm not taking care of my mental health. Yes, I'm doing well. Money is flowing. And I'm thinking that this is good and I've reached it until the health start kicking in, poor health start kicking in, or the effects of that. And it stops you in your tracks. So there's a benefit to not only being great to help with your team, help you get your company to get to the stage where it wants to be, but also, man, you can actually undercut and undermine your growth if you're not taking care of yourself very well, because once that bad health and those effects started kicking in, it stops you.
What about
Or it can.
what about solopreneurs? So we we've
Mm.
touched so far on, you know, team and being there for the team
Mm-hmm.
and yourself, and if you've set everything up. But there's a lot of people, especially now in today's day and age, when it's kind of easy to start a business, especially if you're not having to go and be out and about. There's ways to start businesses. So let's think of like
Okay.
like a solopreneur that started an Amazon drop shipping
Well,
business.
I spent a lot of time as that.
I know, and that's why I'm asking the question. So how does one who does not have a team, what is it for them to make sure that they're focused on their own wellness and their well-being? Like what's the why for them?
The why is what's at stake. You are more vulnerable than ever being a solopreneur, for one. Why you do it? Because you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable to the headwinds of your business. You're vulnerable to the headwinds of the market. You're vulnerable to when, like in my case, doing training and things of that nature, personal training. Like if I remember one time, I I like jacked up my like leg, right? Twisted my ankle and banged it up the whole bit, and I'm literally training the whole entire day, really with one leg. I didn't get a crutch. I didn't get the little scooter thing. I didn't get a cane. I'm hopping.
That's a bit extreme, dear.
Well, I need my clients, right? One of it is I had a personal standard of like, showing up and feeling commitment and part of my brand and things of that nature. And it didn't even dawn on me to say, hey, let me see if for a day or two, if my clients would be reasonable about and accepting that I'm a little Maine. It didn't stop overall me being able to train them. It looks ridiculous, me hopping around the gym, I literally on one leg. And at some point, even clients was like, Steven, just sit down and just tell me from across the room what I need to do. That's the challenge also sometimes when I tell them about when you're not managing your mental very well as a solo entrepreneur. You feel all this weight on your shoulders, so much so that you'll put your physical body at risk.
Mm.
You could also damage your business that way. Luckily, I had people because of I think, helped with how I did customer relations, that they was understood. But truthfully, if the shoe was on the foot, I'd be like, why is he showing up hopping around the gym? If I was the client, I might not be as understanding or be reasonable and all of that about that, because that looks weird and ridiculous. Take the time off. You can really hurt your brand by still you're sick and you're coughing and things of that nature, and you're still trying to show up. And it's like your body is falling apart, but you feel such this greater need of like, I have to be doing this because you're scared of the famine season. Mm-hmm. And being there by yourself, the psychological effect of oh my God, it's all on me, becomes such a huge voice in your head. So why you do it is because you can find yourself being ridiculous and hopping around the gym, tearing up and doing more damage to your body, even though you know better, and you're not even being practicing and being embodiment of physical health in the proper way that you're supposed to be, as you're trying to lead other people to body transformation and be in better health, right? You there because um, you need to solve, you're allowing why you do it is because the answer really is to understand, one, I'm vulnerable in this particular how I'm running my business. That if I go down, it all crumbles, or at least think it will. So I need to figure out some way to I had to learn how to figure out some way to give me some reassurance and safety net and infrastructure there. That I can still take care of my children. I can still take care of my household. I can still pay mortgages and the like. And I'm down for a couple of days, right? That's why you do it, because it's so easy to misdiagnose where you need to focus your interest and attention on, because you're just running. And part of mental health also, and while even good business and good entrepreneurship, is knowing when you need to take some breathers and some breaks to refuel and rethink, to make sure that you're moving about the most efficient and the most dynamic, the most amazing way possible you're running your business. And it's not just running you. And those slowing down periods and seasons, you should build it in where you can have some control. That's another why. Or I tell people, and I've been a victim of it, your body will shut you down. Then you have no choice but to slow down and rethink what you're doing. And that's the worst season to be in. You can rebound from it. I don't want people to feel like there's not hope if you found yourself in there. You can rebound from it, but you must do some things differently, or you'll find yourself in that state until you finally are totally shut down, and then everything suffers. So those are some of the whys as a solo entrepreneur. Why taking care of and making time for your well-being is super, super important.
Okay. So I think we've covered most. We've covered corporate, we've covered entrepreneurs that have teams, and now we've covered our solopreneurs. So I think that kind of covers the gamut of saying this is something that everybody should be focused on.
Okay.
So then let's talk about like the how, the what, like what.
Oh, yeah, yes, like that's
the how,
good.
the what of, because I mean, you mentioned mental health, which 100%. And you said your body will shut you down. I'm thinking the one time it was like, I remember I was working crazy amounts of hours, high stress client that I was on, and it was like I broke out in hives, like to the point that it was like just all, it was so bad. Wow. It was so bad. And it shut me down. Like I was like, no, I for real can't go in. Like it was painful. And then the other time where it was basically like wound up in the hospital. It's like, yeah, you have a brain bleed and you don't know how it happened. I think my brain just basically was like, we're done. You're
doing too much. I need to slow down.
Yeah, it basically told me to slow down.
Sit down.
Sit your butt down, Donna. So, I mean, those things, true. Physical can happen, mental breakdowns, people have had them, they happen. So, like, how and what should we be doing in order to not have that happen?
Okay. I think some of it is looking at it in almost 2 or 3 different aspects. One, you're dealing with, real easy to demarcate is the mental and the physical, right? But then the third pillar to me is really the environment or sociology element of it, right? And I'll break it down in that sense from my vantage point. Obviously, mental, your stress, your anxiety, depression, happiness, loneliness, sadness, all these sorts of things, all these sorts of feelings, good and bad, swarming around. And if they're starting to get totally out of whack, you know, it can cripple you. You can get burnt out, wore out, feeling depleted. Depends on what you're doing, depends on what type of business you're in. It might be a highly stressful environment all on its own, just because, if you're dealing with stuff like medical devices, things of that nature, and you're dealing with stuff that requires, it's life or death and all of that. It depends on what you're in, and that can bring about its own angst. It can get you. Another part of it is the physical, right? How you're eating, how you're sleeping, how you're moving, right? And not only that, but also, are you doing the things such as your massages, right? Going to the chiropractor. Are you working with these all the things that, I had to learn and I neglected for years, right? Things such as like having orthotics and things of that nature, where you taking care of your body physically, because it start over time, start having this cascading effect. And then is, how are you structured socially, your life? I don't want to get into the whole work-life balance, because I don't really subscribe to that. But also, is about like, are you caring and neglecting? I think that is more applicable, right?
Which is more of like how I think about it, work-life trade-offs.
Yes. And so some of it is just how your life is structured.
Mm-hmm.
Are you having individuals in your life that is so depleting and they not feeding you back?
Mm-hmm.
One. Are you constantly running around nonstop that you can't even make time to eat well, because you constantly on the go? I felt like that when I was in a lot of boom seasons with training.
Mm-hmm.
I was moving around. My book was so big, right, that I didn't even make time for my own workouts that I'm training people. I couldn't make time and figure out how to actually, between that and being a parent and a whole bit, to like eat properly, all the time, consistently, and so forth. And the crazy thing about it is that when these things are out of whack, and it depends on what you're doing, it shows up. And in my case, it starts showing up in me physically. And I'm dealing with a type of business that requires for you to have a certain physical appearance. And the root of the problem was my success and the lack of me having proper navigation socially of how I'm supposed to structure my life built around this success. Mm-hmm. And so it's impeding on the very thing that I need to be. It's almost like the snake eating its tail kind of deal. And I'm in this doom loop, you know? You know what I'm saying? You can't be like having pudges, gaining weight, and then you like looking all soft and pudgy, and you're supposed to be training people to get all ripped and hard. It's like, it didn't matter that I know how to do it. Some of these things of like, I'm not healthy. And you can mask it for a while, like we all do, and then it shows up. And so part of it is, how do you start, is looking at those things, three things, and doing an assessment. Mm-hmm. Where are you at physically, your biology, things of that nature? Where are you at with your mental? Are you just stressed all the time? It's going to mess with your weight, cortisol levels, and all these other things and all that. The stress hormone is going to be released, and you're going to feel bad, right? And then you're going to try to eat something or do something that maybe not healthy for you, just so you can get a pick-me-up mentally. And then lastly, how's your life structured? And this is the hardest one that I think people are not willing to necessarily eat, because truth of the matter is, sometimes even the people in our life, we either need to do the hard work of restructuring those relationships, or do some pruning,
boundaries,
right? And do that hard work, and upsetting work, so that you can get into a better state. Some of it is also shifting certain other aspects of your life. So one of the things I did was I shrunk down. I got rid of, it was like homes, cars, and things like that. I shrunk my lifestyle really, really down. And at one point, I still kind of adopted a little bit now. I pay cash. If I can't pay cash for something, I don't care if it's $5,000, whatever. If I can't pay cash for something outright, 9 times out of 10, most of the time I don't put it on credit because I found that just the credit card and the bill coming and all of that and that management, was kind of stressful if you can't delegate it from, what I'm saying, and all of that. And then when you make a mistake, I beat up on myself too much. Like, oh shoot, I'm late on that credit card payment. Oh, good Lord. And I had to learn that I had to change my environment and how I do things socially. Um, Heck, even in terms of eating well, just don't have it around me. Now you change that a lot, but before I would prefer I just won't have it in, so I can't reach for it. I have to get in my car. I made a habit of if I wanted something, some junk food, I literally had to hop in my car, drive from blocks or whatever miles appeals of where I'm at. Go ahead and give me enough time to really think about, do I really want it? Is it cold outside? Do I really want to get my butt in this car and drive and get a snack? you know Scarcity at times, if you're trying to adjust behavior, can really be a friend, as well as abundance can be a friend as well. But it's how you make sure how you are, what is best you need to do and subscribe to it. If I had internal checks and balances inherently in myself, then having abundance around me wouldn't matter, because I have an inherent shut off valve.
Yeah.
Which you have it. You have a little something and then you just shut it off. Cool. I have a site, my mindset and how I'm built is around me and I want it and it's tempting. I'm going to consume it. I'm going to reach for it.
Yeah.
And I don't have, my cutoff is when I've gone way over.
Yeah.
Until I'm engorged or whatever or wore out. And I was like, dude, you didn't. And it's with a lot of stuff like that. And so scarcity is a friend for me because of how I am psychologically.
So I think even with that point, I think that's something that when we talk about wellness, a lot of this is really knowing ourselves. Like knowing what and when you think about it, it's like you have to almost be brutally honest with yourself. If you know that you have a sweet tooth and there's, candy and cakes in the house.
Tell them how I feel about sweet potato pie.
Oh my gosh. Don't give this man a sweet potato pie. He doesn't share it. He doesn't share the pie. He will get the pie pan of the made pie and get a fork and eat it from the pie pan. Like, that's it. That's his pie. It's no one else's pie. No one else can touch the pie, have the pie, taste the pie. Well, he might let you taste it. But he'll be like, one bite, that's it. That's his pie. So yes, if you
what is my rule? Because of it, I'm like that.
So you only have your sweet potato pies around Thanksgiving, your birthday. So that's when you keep your keep it to just that limited amount of time, so that you can have it, you won't feel guilty, and you go on about your business.
And I love it. I can have it anytime. You can put one right now, and I can't resist.
Yeah. But if you know, once you're brutally honest with yourself, that you're gonna have a hard time if there's stuff around. So my guilt is I'm a snacker. Like, I don't have to have a full meal, but if there's snacks, I will snack all day. I'm a grazer. They call it a grazer. I'll just
nice terms to soften the blow.
I'd snack, graze, whatever. But if there's just food around, so like a good charcuterie board, a good, some chips, some dip, even you put some veggies out. If they're out, I'm gonna have a few. So I will graze all day. And then he'll be like, "Did you actually eat?" And I'll be like, "Well, I mean, I ate. I didn't have a real meal." And then so then for me, it's the caloric intake. It's like, am I giving myself time to actually process the food versus, just constantly giving myself food. And so that is something that I had to be honest with myself and say, Donna, really, you're not even hungry. You're just grazing right now.
And the thing I would say for entrepreneurs and business people and execs is that be okay with the fact that when you do your reflection, it ain't gonna be something that you proud of.
Oh God.
It ain't gonna be pretty. It ain't gonna be like when I realized that, dude, right? I know it looks horrible how I could like dive into a sweet potato pie. Like I've elbowed people and all of that. Like it's not even really that it's even healthy of why I love it so and how I would behave around it, you know. But it is my truth, right? A lot of times we won't look at it because we don't like what it looks like, and then so we're going to ignore it. But the problem and the actions are still there, and you're still doing it. You just won't look at it soberly and say, okay, this is how I am in this space. I may not change I can't change the other people like have a little bit and go on, have a slice. That I can't do it. I can't do it.
I mean, you
know, not on that. It makes me think of my childhood. It makes me think of it's only around Thanksgiving because my birthday is around there. Maybe sometimes on Christmas. So it has this family. It has all these psychological, emotional, as well as just taste and cultural things that I can't fight that. I've tried and I've lost. What I can do is I can put some restraints on it. I can put limitations on it. I can put it in a framework that would one, serve my body well and my mental well, as well, knowing that the indulgence, I'm being true to myself when I indulge in it, but I refuse to break the rule of having it out of that season. And I've been like that for almost 20 years because I love it. I truly do. And some things we just love because it's more layered. It's not a willpower issue. And we spend a lot of time acting like I can just will it away. And people make us feel guilty about that. Some of the stuff, like I said, it makes me think of the Black community and sweet potato pie. It makes me think of, the times when I've had great birthdays and it's festive and it's family, whatever. It made me think of my kids. It's so many things wrapped in that that aren't all bad. But eating a whole pie or two in 2 days is not good. Now that's bad for me. Yes. And the other, for the long run. And so, I outlined 5 to 7 different factors that are really, really huge that moves a human behavior. The nostalgia, the cultural, all this type of stuff. And it's like those things are ingrained in our subconscious, in our being, and often the answer is just like willpower through it. And we wonder why people can't do it. Well, maybe I can never change how I see sweet potato pie, but I can restrict it. I can put it in a boundary, in a box that doesn't hurt me as if I were to have it every month, every couple of weeks. Because one slice ain't enough. I'm a snob with it too. Oh, I'll tell somebody they sweet potato pie ain't up to snuff. I was a connoisseur, and I'm ridiculous with it.
Wait a minute, that time your mama made she ran out of vanilla extract and used almond extract. He didn't even eat the pie. He was like, I can't eat this.
They look amazing.
They look beautiful, but I can't eat them.
She made the texture was perfect. Wow. It was everything, that one ingredient. Wow. And I didn't.
And the pie was good though. It was a good pie.
You see, I didn't touch it. I took a fork.
Wait a minute. Everybody else got pie that year. Everybody else got pie that year because he was like, it's not the same.
It ain't up to that. I took one fork of it. And
so ridiculous.
She made so many just for me.
I think she made like 6 of them.
And I hurt her feelings because I was like, I won't eat it. So, we all have those things, right?
Yeah. I don't know what mine is.
I mean, it's
yeah,
something.
but I know I have. Well, I mean, general grazing, but it's like I used to have like crab legs. I think that was probably one thing where it was like we would go to the buffet, and I blame this on my mom's because like man, she would we go and get the plate and just like pile the crab legs on. And I'm so good, I don't even need crackers. And just popping them in my mouth like popcorn, like man. And we would eat some crab legs.
Yeah,
I think that, and then once you had the craving for it, oh my goodness.
So let's pivot a little bit
Okay,
back
because
to
how did we end up on food?
I mean, because we talked about some. Oh my God! But this is huge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
And it is mental / physical.
Yes,
because
and it's a
as you
huge
said,
driver.
When you think about some foods, the symbolism that goes with those particular items, it's more than just nourishment.
Yes.
It's like something bigger.
And that's why we need to do the mental work that is required. What are some of the things that, like, okay, so from an executive standpoint, right? Because I haven't done the big corporate structure and systems, you know?
I was about to say something. I'm not going to say that.
It's going to be ridiculous. So let's take it from the corporate standpoint, because those comes with a different set of challenges as well and pressures placed upon you. How do someone in the C-suite you think you have? How do they get started? How do they start assessing? How should they go about it?
Assess their own wellness.
Yeah, and so they can they can start forming a plan of action and implementing some new practices. But how you've been in that space?
Yeah. So I think one of the way my journey started back in was but seriously, I seriously just stared at myself in the mirror. I really did. I stared at myself in the mirror, and then I did, you know how they do like the scan? It's like, but as I was scanning, I was like, what do I like? What do I dislike?
Oh, okay.
And
I never thought about that approach.
Yeah, so I started from the outside in because honestly, my inside, I worked on my inside a lot, and I've gotten better as I've gotten older. Still worse in some things. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, ask him. I'm a little hellion, but that's okay. But I really did, and so I remember the very first thing I did was I got Invisalign. Okay. Yeah. You started small. You started small. I was like, okay, well, what can I handle for? And it was like, okay, this is, I had, and ask my, my family, they're like, nothing was wrong with your teeth. Well, not to me. Not to me. My front two teeth were just ever so slightly crossed over. And I was like, it has bothered me since I was a child. And so I was like, I'm going to invest in myself and get Invisalign. And so that was like the start of me saying, what are the things that Donna wants to do to fully, I think, blossom into the person I want to be. Okay. So that's how I kind of saw it. It was like, I see it as a journey of blossoming into the person that I always knew was inside, bringing that outside. Okay. And so as an executive, having straight teeth, clean, bright, pearly whites actually would benefit me. So it was like when I start checking down the, things of what makes sense from the business standpoint, what makes sense from things that I want to do, what makes sense from what will, help me in the future.
But even you thought about that even when you already was being successful and your trajectory was climbing, and you still thought you needed to do more work to help you even soar higher?
Yes. Huh. I did.
That is interesting.
I did, because the other thing is, they always tell you it's like, so when you're not in the position that you want to be in, you look at the people that are in that position and you say, what is it that they're doing? How are they being? What do they look like? And you start to say, okay, am I even comfortable with that? Because I think a lot. Okay, I'm gonna deviate for a quick second.
Okay, because
here.
I think I got a
I'm gonna
question
deviate
and you
for a
might
quick second
answer.
here.
Go.
But I think a lot of the younger people that are starting to come up, you need to do this exercise because, especially when you think about people that are like, I want to be a star, I want to be a star. Go actually watch some of them documentaries on what Judy Garland, on what it takes to be a star. You need to actually say, am I, do I really, really want that?
Okay.
The lifestyle, the good and the bad. Do I have the propensity to be able to handle what that entails? Because that's why you see a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming and all this excess and the paparazzi.
And this applies to corporate too.
And this applies to corporate too.
Okay.
The CEO of a company. So say you're a CEO of a small little business, maybe making $1 million a year, which to some people that might be a lot, but a business earning $1 million a year is not a lot. It's still considered a small business. Micro business, say you're making $500,000 a year. You're the CEO of a $500,000 company. Small business, EB business. Even with that, if you sat and if that's your dream to be the CEO of something small first, just I want to own my own little business. Go talk to people that have businesses that are 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, etc. Go talk to them and see how they live their lives. Ask them what keeps them up at night. Ask them, what do they like? What do they not like? What do they wish they would have done differently? Ask those kinds of questions because then you'll start to learn. It's like, well, maybe I really don't want that. And I'll be honest, even for when I was coming up, I actually said I did not want to be the CEO of a company. I wanted to be the COO. I did not want to make the hard decisions. I wanted to be the person because I've
to
always
execute
been
the plan.
Help shape the plan, give advice, and then make sure the plan is enacted correctly. That is how I've always seen myself. But somebody else needs to go handle the ridiculous, the investors, the loans, go talk and be the face of the business. Now, I did not want to do that. Now I'm in it, and I'm like, that's not what I signed up for. But even with that, I already knew going in that that's what CEO has to do.
Yes.
So I have to do it.
Yes.
And so I think there's this cognitive dissonance when you say you want to be something or do something. Do you actually know what that means? And so when I'm looking at myself and I'm saying, am I in the right packaging? Do I have the right mindset? Am I, mentally ready to do these types of things? That's when I did the self-scan. It's like what needs to change? And as small as Invisalign, that was something that I had to do.
And I think I love what you just described too, because I didn't approach mine in that way. But what I'm just hearing is that you bridged or pulled this bigger my career goals in life, whatever, down to my bathroom, in the mirror,
stand in the mirror,
and understanding that there's a through line, there's a connection, there's a thread there. If you choose to see, see that way and go that path. But me standing in my underwear in the bathroom, what I'm seeing in the mirror is a direct connection in one form or another to my dream, my goal, or the lack thereof of achieving my dream or my goal.
It's Michael Jackson's song. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
And so, interesting. Do you feel, and we're going to go a few more minutes before we wrap up, but do you feel that exercise, that process has been the reason for some making it or not? to their dream and their goal in the corporate world. Right?
I do believe it.
Like, or it plays a hand. It plays a
Yes,
hand.
it plays
I wouldn't
a
say.
larger
I don't think it's
part.
fair to say.
I mean, because there's some people that get put in positions just because of, whatever.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't think I'm quite phrased that fairly.
Yeah, but there are some people that just get handed positions, and then there's people that are very deliberate about getting into positions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those people, I think they 100% do something along those kinds of lines.
Mm-hmm.
They may not just stare in the mirror and stare and be like,
mm-hmm.
what does Donna want?
Mm-hmm.
They may, have a different path of getting there, but it's like they know, it's like those, there was everyone at the school. I must join student council. I must be on the debate team. I must go to this specific college. We all know people that are like that. Those are the people that have in their mind, this is what I want to do. This is how I know I can get there. This is a path that has been tried and true and tried before. And the people end up there. So I'm going to do the things that those people have done in order to try to get into a specific spot. Yes. General public, there's a myriad beyond that, where it's like the trial and error. I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to just do it because I did this. Liberal arts. I just know I need a college education, so I'm gonna go to college, but I don't really know what I want to do. I keep changing my mind, so I'll just explore.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then as you're going through it, at some point you have to ask yourself that hard question: do I like it? Do I not like it?
But you should ask that question.
You should ask yourself that question.
That question is very important.
Yes.
I guess, and I'm listening to you, break this down, and what keeps coming into the back of my head as well as this is about, since we're talking about altering ourselves to reach a goal or manage.
You better say, did you sell out?
Well, I guess the other side of the coin, I would phrase it differently, but it's like, I think for many of us struggle with, how do I still stay authentically me? If my teeth were slightly crossed, that's authentically me from child.
If it don't bother you, if it doesn't bother you, and you're able to figure out a path to get where you need to be, good on you.
But what if my appearance or my overall health is a limiting factor?
If it is a limiting factor,
like in my case,
yes.
At a certain point, and I became, started getting too unhealthy. I'm like, it was a limiting factor for new business.
Yes, and I think that is the point. That is the point that I think a lot of people don't want to face.
Okay.
The understanding that there are limiting factors. There are certain positions when you go into those industries and positions, the expectation is X. So, like, if you want to be a Hooters waitress and you are on the voluptuous plus side, no one is saying you can't be the Hooters waitress. But when you look at the Hooters waitress,
the stomach is not bigger than the breast.
Yeah. And they got them itty bitty hot pants on.
Even if they thicker, certain things are just not okay.
Elements and then you have people that are like, well, that's not fair. I should be able to be the waitress here. Well, no one's saying you can't be the waitress, but they're selling a particular look for a particular reason. And if you want to be in that position, you're going to have to do some certain things in order to get to the way that makes sense for that particular job. And it's no different in corporate America, depending on, again, what kind of business you're in. Like if you're if you're trying to get CEO of a Fortune 500, that's your dream job. I want, millions of dollars worth of salary and stock options and all.
Okay.
If you're thinking like that's what you want, well, unless it's something that you started yourself and you're making the rules, most CEOs of the big companies wear suits and ties and they're put together and they're, very kind of stoic and they don't really show much emotion initially. Like there's certain, you just look at them.
Yeah.
Even the women, it's like the pantsuits or the very nice dresses, very well put together. If you want to go and get that kind of job,
yeah,
let's be 100%. No one's saying you can't.
Yeah.
But you're deciding you want to play in that circle. That circle's rules have already been made.
Yeah.
So and tie it to the wellness.
Okay.
If you're saying these circles have those rules, then from your standpoint, your vantage point, are you willing to play by those rules to get into that circle?
Yeah.
Do you have the mental tenacity? Is it going to help, hinder or help you physically, mentally, socially, spiritually? Because when we talk going back to to Hollywood and the music industry and all those, physically, mentally, spiritually, social, like, can you square all the circles for yourself? If you can't square all the circles, then yes, you're basically selling out. You're selling yourself in order to get into something that you actually may not want. And once you're in there, you'll be like, why did I do that?
Yeah. But it also goes back to what you said, asking yourself, and we can start wrapping up on this point. But you said, ask yourself the question: do you really want it? After you've done your legwork,
yes.
Do you really want what that requires of you as well? But the overall point as well is that I personally feel that it's not a selling out in terms of doing. Aspects of that is just maturing. Aspects of that understanding that the structure, the system, the institution is not what you built it on you didn't build it. It comes with certain rules, right? I can drive on the sidewalk physically. I can know how to take a car on there. Yeah. But the rules of this nation say
don't do that.
Right? And then the rules of this nation say that you drive on the right side and not the left. Yep. Whereas other parts of the world, they drive opposite, and things of that nature. There's different rules in different places. I can't drive like an American over in London, right? I can be like, well, but no, they have to drive over there. You have to drive this particular way because that's how that environment, that world is structured. But I know not everyone feel that way. And I think the main point of it is that even in that is you still should prioritize yourself. And part of wellness is looking at what you currently are doing and designing something that best fits you to stay in a state or shift you to a better place.
Yes.
Right? Wellness is not about you like, okay, I'm 20 pounds overweight. It's to maintain the 20 pounds overweight. It's more of you going to change so that you can lose the 20 pounds, if that's one of the things or whatever, right? Or, keeping your blood pressure low, or keeping your mindset and anxiety in control is not, and being okay with adjusting, right? We constantly adjusting ourselves on the positive or on the negative.
Yes, the only constant is change.
Yes. And so to me, it's not selling out or losing yourself, especially unless you're doing something against your own moral principles.
And that's what I said. If you're a willing participant for the circle you think you want to be in, then you didn't sell out.
Yes.
But if you are not a willing participant and you go and join that circle and then you're like, but this isn't what I wanted, then why are you even in that circle?
Yes. And the great thing about what I'm going to keep bringing it back down to wellness for entrepreneurs and executives is that you have power to constantly shift. As you change, as you evolve, as you grow in your profession, in your business, in your ventures, right? You have the right to shift to see what you need at that season. Yeah, you may have started off that I'm trying to go this path. I must look this part in the whole bit. And once you achieve, you realize, hey,
I don't want
also it's time for me because yes, I paid the price of those long hours and those dues. You've
and
done
so that
that.
part I did, yes.
And he's like, it's time.
Yep.
And some of it may require, when I talk about this, the sociology part of it and lifestyle part of it, is that now it's time for me to maybe walk.
Yes.
Or
And I
maybe
think that's
pivot,
the part when I
whatever.
was doing my scan. So even
Yes.
though it started with teeth, it ended with me saying, this is not, I am not emotionally tied to this over here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is negatively impacting my health
Mm-hmm.
physically. And I've done all this work in order to start to blossom as a woman.
Yeah.
And this over here is not now in alignment with how I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
So I, again, removed myself from the circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I literally said, okay. And that was me not selling out. If I had stayed in the circle.
Yeah. Because you were starting to get miserable.
Yeah. If I had stayed in the circle, that's selling out.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, this is now, I have reached my maximum capacity in this circle over here.
Mm-hmm.
And where this circle is now moving, because everything continues and changes and progresses, and there's a lot of fluidity there. So that circle was switching. I said, you guys, power to you. I'm gonna go over here now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm happier for it.
And that seemed like a great place to kind of pause for today.
I know. That
Until
was a long one.
Yeah, till next time.
Okay.
And actually, it didn't even feel long.
It didn't.
Right?
I think I got on a soapbox though.
Well, I mean, I think we both believe in this topic for today, though.
That's true.
We lived this.
We did.
We
did.
Yeah. So,
cheers.
Cheers.
Until next time.
Till next time.